Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan, a former commando from the United Kingdom, and today we've got another update for Ukraine. Today marks a very special day, guys, because we're going to go through a little bit of a map study, show you some fantastic footage about, especially in the Kaplansk region, the Izium region. There's been a lot of activity there, a lot more land being recaptured from Russia back into the hands of the rightful owners, the Ukraine. There's an awful lot of land. Even within the past 24 hours, guys, the maps that we use, it does take a little bit of time to update, but I'm going to get into it straight away. So if we look back to the 10th, we zoom in. This is a decent map of Ukraine, as you can see, guys. A lot of red there, but there's a lot more blue now. In our last video, we were talking about the massive occupation that Ukraine has just pushed for. They've pushed for this Kaplansk region, and they've got it now. As you can see, the 10th there's a lot of grey areas, but it's been updated now. You can see to the north flank of Kaplansk, and when we forward to today, all of that area is back in blue, guys. That means that Russia is now out of there officially, and Ukraine are taking back the land. Some of the videos that we're going to show you today show the flags flying high for Ukraine. But another thing, Izium as well is an area of hot topic. They've been battling it out in and around these regions for quite a while. And if we look even yesterday, that was greyed out, okay? Today, a lot more control. Yesterday and today, an awful lot. 99% there, guys, all right? We're going to show you a little bit of footage on Izium, and maybe there's a few other areas showing the flags flying high, because at the end of the day, this is what it's about. The people have been waiting in these regions long enough for the freedom to be bestowed upon them again. There is individuals been living in their homes for months on end during Russian occupation. So you can only imagine how horrific that must have been, guys. So our thoughts and prayers out to them. But yeah, let's get into a bit of this footage, break it down, and see the reactions of people. So 300 Ukrainian troops killed near Kharkiv, says Russia. Now, we've got to take that with a pinch of salt. We'll continue to watch this, but the thing is with Russia state media is they tend to exaggerate an awful lot of their wins. They tend to overemphasize when they've made a few gains, okay? So this 300 Ukrainian troops killed near Kharkiv, says Russia. I'll believe that when Ukraine states that, okay? But being realistic, guys, taking this region, Kharkiv, all right, there's been a massive push from the Ukrainians, all right? But there's also been a massive withdrawal with Russians, okay? Whether you want to say it's a tactical withdrawal to fight another day or anything like that, it doesn't matter. They've had to liberate that land, effectively get the hell out of there, because one of two things has happened, or both. The will of the Ukrainians has been that much that they want to take this land. They've just took the fight to them big time. They've put all the resources into it. They've pushed forward tactically, getting the advantage. Russia is the opposite, all right? They've gotten the hell out of there. They haven't got the will to fight like they used to, and they just quite simply haven't got a good cause to be there. That's my opinion. So mixture of all of that, somewhere amongst all of that information will be the truth, guys, okay? Okay, so that says Ukrainian Special Forces posted photos which showed their officers in the town. So a good thing, that's seeing the troops back in these streets, flying the flag. It's going to do an awful lot for the Ukrainians, guys. It's going to get their morale through the roof, which is a good thing. Its momentum is needed, and it's going to be utilized, pushing south. And we can see on these maps when we go back and forth that they're not only pushing east now, they're starting to push a little bit further north. Potentially, there's even talks that, they might even be pushing into Russia a little bit. But, well, I guess that's a video for another day if it does actually lead to be true, okay? But they're definitely going to be continuing east and pushing south as well. We've seen a little bit more advancement, even more than I was originally thinking, guys. Okay, Kaplansk is a vital supply hub for Russian forces in the eastern Ukraine and fell a week after February's invasion. Okay, so it was taken very, very quickly by Russia. I'm not too sure why they took that region very, very quickly. Maybe they put all of the resources. If I remember correctly, they overwhelmed that area. It is a vital supply hub, not just for that region, but for the rest of the Ukrainian war, all right? These supply hubs bringing people, munitions, stockpiles of weaponry. Ukraine seized an awful lot, okay? It's going to do an awful lot for their military, giving them the advantage militarily, strategically, and it's going to hinder Russia's forward-facing capability now. Are they going to be able to take the fight like they used to? Probably not, okay? Probably not, especially with the rocket systems, the artillery systems that they use. You know, they're going to need ammunition to make them use. They don't just work by themselves, that's for sure. Okay, US-based think tank, the Institute for the Study of War, ISW, has described the city as Russia's key logistical node in the region. So let's take a look at that logistical node, as it was said by the US-based think tank. If we can zoom into this map here, okay, what we can see in Kaplansk is, obviously, it's a heavily populated area. We've got loads of buildings and stuff in this region, okay? But what else we've got is going in and out of this place. There's a lot of logistical supply routes, okay? We can see these main roads going through the whole region, and these routes literally spread all over that location, you know, south, east, north, west, it's linking all the way to Kharkiv, I believe. Okay, so don't be fooled in thinking that these supply routes and the taking back of Kaplansk won't have a direct impact on the front lines, especially down this region here near Horlivka and Donetsk, because it will. It'll have a massive implication in a negative way for the front lines. Especially for the Russians, okay? Because you can't fight if you haven't got ammunition, you can't fight if you haven't got manpower, weaponry, and mainly, you can't fight if you haven't got the morale. And morale on Russia at this moment in time is going to be really, really low. But those front lines, you know, when we're looking at the regions being taken, especially near Izium, what we're looking at effectively, and let's draw a little bit of a map here. We're looking at 51 kilometers, all right? It's not a lot of ground to be able to cover. I predict that this next region, all right, all of that there in triangle is probably going to be overrun very, very soon. Because if you look at where the Russians have actually retreated to, there's no real place to go. They certainly can't go back into the Kaplansk region in Kharkiv. And with the momentum of the Ukrainians pushing forward, I see this region going maybe first, potentially alongside, could be this, we could see that maybe, and then possibly this region here as well. All right, so I think that's probably going to be taken into a twofold part. But with the way the Russians have been fighting at this moment in time, maybe the whole of this will just be pushed forward. All right, maybe they're just going to push forward and completely obliterate the opposition. But if they do, that front line, this is an important thing to note now. If you look at where this front line is here, I envision in the next week or so, if they do manage to push the Russians back, I reckon that front line is going to be stretched, and it's going to go from all the way up from Twitsk, that region there, all the way down here past Donetsk. All right. Yeah, it's going to ruin the communication of these individuals, but, you know, let's not forget, Russians' communication's been poor at best. They've been using even civilian-based radios, okay? The problems that can cause is phenomenal, but for a start, we're not going to get too in-depth about the security measures that these radio systems have in the military. I certainly won't be talking about the British security systems that we've got in place to make sure that our lines are secure. But it goes without saying, any decent military will have a secure line, okay, when they're communicating. Russians have been using walkie-talkies and standard-grade radio systems that you would play with in like with your friends and stuff, okay? So it goes without saying, they've been able to hack into those, and we've seen in the past causing the death and destruction of very high prominent personnel within their military. You know, generals and stuff have been taken out due to the failings communication wise. So to have a severely degraded Russian ground lines of communication further to the problems that they've already got is going to disfracture the military massively, okay? And I think this is probably the beginning of the end of the Russian occupation in most of the regions in Ukraine. Right, so in the east, observers suggest that Ukraine is slowly encircling thousands of Russian troops near the city of Izium. Beginning of the 11th, literally yesterday. You'd agree with that, okay? As you can see, there's almost like a star formation, open grey there. But if you literally fast forward to the same day, Izium's been taken. All right, so the gains there has been phenomenal. You can't just gain that much ground with brute force, guys. All right, there has to be some form of retreat happening there as well. But we fast forward to today, boom, all of that region's been taken. That's a massive amount of ground that's been took, guys, especially around here. Overall, we're looking at 86 kilometers round. So you do the maths, guys. That's a hell of a lot of ground being taken there. Now, this is in grey, Uskill. Now, I'm not too sure if that's yet to be pushed forward. Maybe we'll see an update on that tomorrow. But I figure if they've pushed people that far back from Izium, if we look through here, there's woods. Are they going to be fighting in those areas? I think Russia's probably pushed back past this. It looks like a river system there. I'm not too sure if that's a river system or not, or a main road system. My thoughts are they're going to be pushing right back here. Pushing right back into the red. Definitely past Uskill. Maybe Uskill's a bit of a staging area for them, but if they haven't got the will to fight in Izium, they're definitely not going to have the will to fight anywhere else. So I think these guys are going to keep on pushing back. And the fact that they haven't got a good communication network at this moment in time, on top of the obvious problems with communications being degenerated through the recapture of these areas, it's going to cause massive problems with their chain of command, being able to give orders and stuff out to the guys on the ground, or the meat, as the Russians like to call it. Yeah, massive problems in the area. But it's good news for Ukraine, that's for sure. Okay, so Zelensky said that they've captured many areas. They've captured over 30 settlements in the Kharkiv since the counteroffensive began, which is not too long ago. 30 settlements. That's a lot. All right, an awful lot, guys. In fact, let's have a look at what Zelensky had to say on the matter.
Tonight, Ukraine is on the offensive and quickly gaining ground, reclaiming the largest swath of Russian-controlled territory since April, when forces pushed the Russians out of the outskirts of Kyiv. President Zelensky saying Ukraine has liberated at least 30 settlements and reclaimed nearly 1,000 square miles of land around Kharkiv, the country's second largest city, including taking back the town of Izium, a strategically important railway hub, which was seized by Russian forces in the spring after a week-long battle.
So I think why we've seen Russia have so much momentum is because they took this place early on in the war. Okay, and they knew it was an important place to take, logistically speaking. This is one thing that they got right, okay? Working on, their problems of the past, especially in Afghanistan, logistically, terrible, and in many other wars, terrible. Going back to World War II even, they had to get this place. They had to have this supply route. They had to dominate the logistics, all right? And the only way to do that is go to an area where there's plenty of rail tracks, plenty of main open roads, main supply routes, all of that. So that's what they did. They took it. But I think this is the turning point now. The fact that Ukraine's took that back, stopping the bloodline to Russia, effectively getting their kit and equipment into Ukraine. This is going to have direct implications across the whole of the war front, all right? The battlefield is going to be a very, very different place. Do I see Russia trying to take this back? It would make sense. It would make sense that would be high on their priority to be able to get, they need to re-seize all of the weapons and the ammunition stockpiles that was there in the first place before it does one or two things, either gets destroyed or integrated into the Ukrainian military because, they can do with the stockpiles. That goes without saying. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think it needs to happen on Russia's front, but I don't think it'll happen. I don't think they've got the morale to do that now. I think they're losing traction, and they're losing traction very, very quickly.
The Russians acknowledging they're pulling troops from Kharkiv, but saying it's only to redeploy them to the east. The United States praising Ukraine's advancements.
We see success in Kherson now. We see some success in Kharkiv, and so that's very, very encouraging.
The liberation emotional for Ukrainians living under Russian-controlled territory for months. Neighbors hugging and thanking Ukrainian soldiers. Soviet-era flags are coming down as Ukrainian flags are being raised.
if that doesn't get you emotional seeing that, then you're heartless, okay? I've served in the Royal Marines Commandos. It doesn't mean I'm not an emotional person. I am when I see those flags, although they're not my own. It makes me feel emotional because I can understand, I can empathise what the locals are feeling right there. They're feeling terror every single day. They don't want the flags of Russia to be imposed upon them. They want their own flags. They want their own forces, their friendly faces. They want their guys getting the control back, okay? And they've got that just there. It's a beautiful sight, and long may it continue across the region, okay?
But there's still grave concern about Europe's largest nuclear plant that's rapidly deteriorating as the fighting intensifies.
Let me be clear. The shelling around Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant must stop, and a nuclear safety and security protection zone agreed immediately.
Yeah, this is worrying, to say the least. You know, if an evil dictator is pushed, the dictator will always resort to their selfish actions, okay? I see this as being something that could be very problematic in the imminent future. Hopefully, it doesn't become a nuclear disaster zone like we've seen in and around the regions there, you know, albeit accidental, of course. When war is bestowed upon you illegitimately, you know, these things are not going to be accidental if it does happen, that's for sure. So I hope this doesn't produce further problems for Ukraine, but I just think that this is something that Putin might keep in his back pocket, just in case. So troops, just to recap, we've got massive control in Izium now. We've got massive control in Kaplansk. What I think is going to happen now is obviously Ukraine's going to continue to push forward, but an easy-ish route for them to do so, and it would make sense in my opinion now that they've got Kaplansk and they've got Izium, would be to take control of this area here. A lot of ground there, but I think it's possible. And once they do that, nice straight border there, you know, they're forever encroaching on the other areas of interest, but I think that's probably going to be won within the next couple of days. And potentially this grey area here, if it isn't already taken, we'll find out in the next couple of hours potentially if that grey turns blue. But my thoughts is it probably is. Guys, if you enjoy these type of videos, please drop a comment below. Thank you so much for showing the support on the channel. I really do appreciate it. I'm just a normal guy from the United Kingdom. I just so happened to become a Royal Marine in a small part of my life. But what I'm planning on doing is getting into the YouTube boxing scene. And I've been in contact with the talent manager. And in and around 2, 3, 4 weeks max, I need to produce videos that are gaining a lot of views. 40 to 70,000 to be precise is the number that was given to me, and if I can get those numbers, there's a strong chance that this said talent manager, who manages very, very experienced content creators and very, very famous ones of that, if I can get those numbers, there's a strong chance that I might be able to, you know, sign the contract, so to speak, if hypothetically speaking. And if I can do that and get a talent manager, there's a very strong chance that I'll be coming to a YouTube boxing event near you soon, fighting some of these famous guys and showing them what a Royal Marine can do. But that's my dream. That's what I want to do. And hopefully you guys can support me. How can you support me? Well, simple. If you share these videos, if you like these videos and you watch them as long as possible, that's going to help me out massively, guys, okay? In terms of where we're at, I've been literally overwhelmed this past week, 10 days or so. As soon as I've asked you, it's happened. I'm getting those views. I'm getting 40, 50, 60, 100,000 views per video now. I can't believe it. I literally asked you guys graciously, and you're producing the goods already. So I want to say thank you for that. But we need to continue for another couple of weeks. And as soon as I've got the good news, I'm going to do a video about it. I'm going to do a video telling you guys, because you have to project something out. You have to hope for it. You have to want for it. And this is me doing just that. And I believe in the next couple of weeks, I will get a talent manager, and I'll be on the route to hopefully getting on a YouTube boxing show. We can believe, we can achieve. Let's do it. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you guys. And yeah, good news for Ukraine. And I'll keep the updates coming. Peace.